Chairman, I am honored to be here. I'd like to express my appreciation to you and to the committee offering me a screen to protect my identity and to enhance my security. Good security is always a very good idea, and if this were normal circumstances, I would accept your offer. The work of this committee and this hearing is just too important. I don't want to be just a voice behind a screen. When I speak, I think the American people need to look into my face, and I want to look the American people in the eye. My name is Cofer Black. I'm a case officer of the Directorate of Operations of the Central Intelligence Agency. I served as the director of the Counter-terrorism Center from the 29th of July, 1999 until May 2002. Mr. Chairman, I hope that these proceedings provide the relatives and their loved ones of those lost in the horrific act of 9/11 the information that they're seeking. But we are meeting here today because of the loss of over 3,000 innocents. We provided strategic warning. Our intense efforts were unable to provide tactical warning on 9/11. We all share a profound and horrible sense of loss. Everything we do in this global war and the very real risks that we take have only one objective, and that's to defend America and to defend innocence. In this long fight, my CIA colleagues operating with me in Khartoum, Sudan in 1995 preempted preparations of Osama bin Laden's thugs to kill me. 6 years later, Osama bin Laden and his al-Qaeda are the killers of 9/11. You need to appreciate fully three factors. There were choices made for us. These choices were made for the Central Intelligence Agency, and they were made for the Counterterrorism Center. These involve the numbers of people, money, and operational flexibility. I'd like to talk about people for a minute. Before 9/11, the CIA Counterterrorism Center had as many people as maybe 3 Army infantry companies. 3 infantry companies can be expected to cover a front of a few kilometers. Our Counterterrorism Center is responsible for the entire world and all the terrorist threats. It was not only al-Qaeda that we engaged. Until 9/11, Hezbollah had killed more Americans than any other terrorist group. Hezbollah is also our responsibility, as are all the others. We work through the Director of Operations, which is deployed overseas. The head of the operations directorate will tell you, Mr. Chairman, that at the end of the 1990s, he had 25% less covert operations officers than he had at the beginning. The Director of Central Intelligence, George Tenet, did all that he could to help us out. We, of all his interests, had the highest priority. Prior to my arrival, there had been a substantial increase in our personnel. We still struggled. While all the other operating components were being cut, the Counterterrorism Center received what small increases were available. My second point, cash. This is what we used to pay for operations. At the beginning of each of my 3 fiscal years as chief, the Counterterrorism Center had enough money to purchase about 2 modern jet fighter aircraft. When I became the chief in 1999, I had a physical reality. We had less money to support operations than we had the year before. As a result, I cut all of my subordinate units, except for one, more than 30%. We survived because of the Director of Central Intelligence's support and the supplemental fundings that we received. My third point, operational flexibility. This is a very highly classified area, but I have to say that all you need to know is that there was a before 9/11 and there was an after 9/11. After 9/11, the gloves come off. Nearly 3,000 al-Qaeda and their supporters have been arrested or detained. In Afghanistan, the al-Qaeda who refused to surrender have been killed. The hunt is on. At your hearing last Friday, my colleague, referred to only as CIA officer behind the screen, was a witness before you and spoke. I think the significant point that he raised was an unprepared remark saying that he was overwhelmed. He was overwhelmed by limitless work, and he was overwhelmed by a lack of resources. Perhaps now we can say why he said this instinctively. However, even a fully staffed and supported intelligence effort will not provide comprehensive 100% defense. We must constantly intensify our offensive while at the same time supporting law enforcement and its work. Leave you again with the 3 points: resources, people, operational flexibility. I'd like to talk a little bit about working with the FBI. Mr. Chairman, I am very concerned that your hearings last week left you with a substantial misunderstanding about communications between the CIA and the FBI regarding investigation of the attack on the USS Cole. In that case, we were supporting the FBI's investigation. The two agencies wanted to find out who killed our sailors and bring these terrorists to justice. We are an intelligence organization. We are in the business of collecting and providing intelligence. We are not in the business of withholding intelligence information. I want to be clear that FBI agents and analysts had access to information we acquired about the Cole attack. For example, we ran a joint operation with the FBI to determine if a Cole suspect was in a Kuala Lumpur surveillance photo. Joint means together. The FBI had access to the information from the beginning. Our records establish that. The special agents from the FBI's New York field office who were investigating the USS Cole attack reviewed the information about the Kuala Lumpur photo in late January 2001. I also want to be clear that, according to the CTC analyst who attended the June 2001 FBI-CIA meeting in New York City, the FBI analyst brought the photos to New York and showed them to the FBI. I want to repeat that. An FBI analyst brought the photos to New York. Furthermore, the CIA analyst was not permitted to provide all of the information FBI criminal investigators wanted because of laws and rules against contaminating criminal investigators with intelligence information. My statement for the record will provide more details about Kuala Lumpur. We learned of some of al-Qaeda's plots in time to provide the warning that law enforcement and intelligence services needed to stop them. Examples of many of the successful operations would include 1998, plans to attack the U.S. Embassy in Tirana, Albania, were thwarted when we identified the plotters. 1999-2000 Millennium Plot. Al-Qaeda efforts to blow up hotels and other tourist sites in Jordan would have resulted in hundreds of casualties. Our global effort was the largest operation in the history of counterterrorism. 2000 Ramadan threat, defeated. Summer 2001 threat. This also included planned attacks on U.S. embassies in Yemen and France, saved lives. In addition, we rendered scores of terrorists to law enforcement. Mr. Chairman, it would be my greatest wish to bring classified holdings of our successes and use them in an open format. There are sources to protect, there are methods to protect, and there are foreign relationships to protect. The complete list of our successes is reported in closed session to oversight committees. We're happy to meet with you at any time, and I must leave it at that. How do we get successes? The men and women of the Counterterrorism Center and those in the CIA who work counterterrorism are the finest Americans this country can produce. They are smart, they are quick, they are patriotic, they are loyal, they are brave, and they are hardworking. 14, 16, 18, 24 hours a day, 6, 7 days a week after week, month after month, for the entire time that I was there. Our people fought with what we provided them and turned back defeat. Leading up to 9/11, CTC conducted intense intelligence war measured by constant threats, emerging, engaged, and defeated. We were also the first on the ground in Afghanistan before the month of September of 2001 was out. We're able to support the military and their success. I would like to take this opportunity, because these days you never can really tell who is going to speak for the people that do their best and do the work. I want to thank all the people in the intelligence community and in law enforcement and in CIA, those that do counterterrorism, and particularly in the CIA case, our field personnel. Now I want to speak to each man and woman in the Counter-Terrorist Center. I want their families, their neighbors, and the American people to hear this. I was proud of them when I led them. I'm proud of them now, and I will be proud of them as long as I live. Mr. Chairman, I'll submit the remainder of my statement for your record. Thank you, sir.